Hey friends, happy Monday once again. Hope you all had a good weekend. I am loving seeing all of your comments coming in the Facebook group. Your takeaways from chapter 1, your manifestos are amazing, and just loving reading about you in the get to know you thread. So definitely keep the comments coming. I love seeing the engagement, and I'm so glad that you guys are already getting so much out of this. I know that I am too. So let's go ahead and really quickly set up chapters 2 and 3 for this week's discussion. Just a couple of little things to keep in mind and think about as you read to help you get the most out of these chapters. They are technology and noise, and they actually go really well together. Emily talks about a lot of the same themes in both chapters, so I think they're going to work really well as of discussing both in one week as a combo. So the chapter on technology, Emily opens up basically talking about how she was really, really connected. She was in this place where she was running the business and raising the kids and super plugged in all the time. And she makes the statement, I thought that I was thriving. And she also says, I felt powerful. So she had this almost like deceit from her connectedness that she was in the driver's seat and she was in control and she was getting things done. But then she hits this wall of complete burnout. And she talks about a conversation she has with her husband, which the story is kind of funny. But just how her eyes were kind of open to how she was not as in control as she thought. She was not thriving the way that she thought. And that point just really makes me wonder, how often do we fall into that same illusion because we are just on all the time, because we're connected, because we're communicating, we're posting, we're texting, whatever it may be for you. It's going to look a little bit different for each of us with the lives we lead, the jobs we have. But just be really mindful of that as you're reading her story. If you see any parallels to your own life of maybe ways that you have thought about your connectedness, your use of technology, maybe you thought you just took for granted that it was serving you, that it was making you more productive, helping you get things done more quickly, or helping you stay connected in relationships, when in reality, maybe it's not necessarily doing those things. It's just eye-opening to remember to not take for granted that technology is doing all of these things for us. In theory, it's supposed to, but that's not always the case in practice, in real life. So just thinking very critically and very mindfully about how technology use is serving us and helping us, and how maybe it's not, as you're reading chapter 2. And then chapter 3, she titled it Noise. And her opening story is about literal noise, like sounds that we hear, because she talks about going on a trip with her husband to a very secluded place where there was no noise, and how just shocking it was and how different it was. But then she moves away from that to just talking about noise in the more general sense of distraction, things that don't matter. I looked up a definition for the word noise, and I want to read it here. I'm going to click over and read it just because it really resonated with me. So here's one of the definitions for noise, just from Googling, probably dictionary.com. Random fluctuations that obscure or do not contain meaningful data or other information. I thought that definition was just really good and really clarifying for me, just when I think about my life. And I can kind of break it down into two categories. And I would encourage you to do that too as you read. What things in your life are meaningful, important, necessary, and what's noise, and what's just contributing to the noise, what's creating the noise. For Emily, a lot in this chapter, she talks about social media. And next week, the entire chapter is dedicated to social media, so we'll dig into it even further. But a lot of the noise Emily was finding in her own life in this chapter goes back to social media, and that's certainly true for me too. So I haven't quite decided a challenge for us yet this week. It might be related to social media. I was kind of hesitant to do that because obviously next week the whole chapter's on social media, so it will be then too. But I don't know. It might be worth it. I'll keep thinking about it. I'll for sure post it on Wednesday. But yeah, I just encourage you to think about what is important. Emily calls it basic beauty, the things that just matter so much, that are central, that are fundamental. She likens it to the stars in the sky and how you can't see them when there's all the light pollution in the city. So you can use that as kind of an analogy. What are your things in your life that are your stars, that are just so important, so central? And then what are the things that are the noise, like swirling around it, kind of distracting from it? And I think that's going to be a very clarifying exercise for us. So I hope that those points are helpful. They're just two small points in each chapter. I can't wait to hear what else you guys pull out of this. There's so much. I jotted down so many quotes as I was kind of taking notes. So I think it's going to make for a really good discussion. So can't wait to hear your thoughts. Please share when you've had a chance to read just what it's making you think about, what it's bringing up for you. And I look forward to our discussion this week. And I'll talk with you all soon. Have a good day. Bye, friends.